Hello, how are you? This is Wailaka again in this live stream for our second session on our online training course. That is our online course for ArchiCad course. I want to welcome you for this free online course. Be with me in this live stream so that we are together, we discuss and we see the various commands that are used in ArchiCAD. Last time we had our first session, so if you've not been able to see the first session that we had previously, I would want to encourage you to check our live section, check also in our playlist. You will find our first session where we dealt with introduction in ArchiCAD. Today we'll be continuing with the same topic, continuation of introduction to ArchiCAD, and we'll be looking at various commands that are used in ArchiCAD, that are used in drafting using ArchiCAD. So therefore, I want to welcome you. I want to invite you into this live stream. Be with me. Stick together until the end so that we are able to learn and we are able to acquire this knowledge on ArchiCAD drafting using ArchiCAD. Therefore, I want to invite you, if you are not one of my subscriber, kindly hit that button, subscribe, so that anytime we have a notification, anytime we are produced or we've scheduled for our live stream, you'll always be the first one to know so that you can journey together when we are delivering this free online course on ArchiCAD. Therefore, let me just share with you my screen so that we can look at the various commands that are used uh, in ArchiCAD when you're drafting using ArchiCAD. But again, before we go to the to the workspace in ArchiCAD, if you have any comments, if you have any question, I would encourage you to post it in our comment section so that as we progress, as we continue, we'll be able to respond to the various issues, to the various questions that you have raised as we move on. Therefore, let me share my screen with you so that you are able to follow with the presentation on various commands and shortcuts that are used in ArchiCAD, especially ArchiCAD 19. Therefore, welcome and let us begin. So I've already shared my screen with you guys so that you are able to follow. I will now just go direct to present and work on my work on my ArchiCAD workspace so that you are able to see the presentation as it's supposed to be. So this is our environment. This is where we work. This is where we draft. This is the workspace for ArchiCAD. Just as we saw last week, just a little bit of a recap of what we did last week. We were able to see how we launch ArchiCAD. We were able to see the various settings that we are able to do in the initial stages so that we can launch the workspace that we use in drafting ArchiCAD. Therefore, we went on and looked at the various pellets that are there in ArchiCAD, the toolbox, the information box, the navigator, and we saw the relationship between the toolbox, the navigator, and the information box. And we also looked at the various items that are listed under the menu bar. We looked at various items that are listed under the menu bar. And now we want to see some of the shortcuts, some of the commands that are used in ArchiCAD. This is very important when you're drafting using ArchiCAD, because these commands are the ones that will help you to interact with the components of the toolbox, to interact with the navigator. They will help you to be able to come up with a design within the workspace, and even to demonstrate the kind of design that you've come up with within the workspace. Therefore, let us begin, and we will start with the first command, that is drag. We want to see how we can drag one item from one place to another. We want to see how we can drag a component, a wall, from one place to the other. And therefore, I'll just do a very simple structure, just a rectangular building. So I'll just pick the wall and just draw a simple one. So this should not worry you. We still look at how we do this, but the command we want to work on, or the command that we want to look at for now, is we want to see how we can drag a wall from one point to the other. When we talk of dragging, we are basically saying that you want to drag an item, a wall, or a chair, or a tool from one point to the other. And when we drag, we usually do not leave uh, a copy of whatever we've dragged. If you are using drag command, like you want to drag this wall from this place to somewhere close to the next one, when you use the command drag, you will not be able to leave a copy of this wall at that point. And therefore, we will look at drag, and again look at drag a copy. What does that mean? So when we want to drag, for instance, we want to drag this wall. We want to drag this wall from this point to a place which is nearer to the next wall. We will just uh, click on the wall to highlight it or to select it. We click on the wall to highlight or select it, and then we will enter the command drag. We will enter the command drag. We'll enter the command drag, which is, it has a shortcut, that is Control D. So the shortcut for drag is Control D. And anytime when you want to know the shortcut, or the shortcut for a certain command, we are able to get it even from the ArchiCAD itself. Because what we do, once you select a wall like I've done, you right click on an empty space, and then you go to the command move. Under move, you'll get quite a number of commands. We have the drag, which we've already said is Control D. If we click on Control D, we will have entered, our cursor will be engaged with the command Control D, which is drag. And if we were to click on this wall and displace it, to a distance closer to the next wall, we'll see that it will move, and it will not maintain a copy of the same wall from wherever we had positioned it earlier. So that is one way of how we can get the command drag from the computer. So you just select. Actually, it's a wrong method of inserting the command drag. You select the object, you right click on the empty space, it will give you this pop-up window. Then you come to move, then you click on drag. The cursor will be engaged with drag. If you don't want to go that wrong way, then you can pick the shortcut, that is Control plus D. So from your keyboard, once you select the wall, you press Control D, and then your cursor will be engaged with the drag command, and then you click on the object that you want to displace or you want to drag, and then if you want it to go straight in a fixed path, you hold the shift key on your uh, on your PC. You press the shift key, you hold it down, and then your object will be restricted in the horizontal direction. And then you can now click on the place that to you want to drag it to. Later on, we will see how we can drag using dimension from one place to the other, from one place to the other. So that is how we drag an item. It could even be a seat, it could be even be a couch, it could be a table, it could be a beam. That's how we drag. And the command drag, as I said earlier, it does not leave a copy. So now we want to see how we can drag a copy. We can drag a copy of this wall. So again, if you want to return back, you can use the undo and the redo and undo command. Undo and the redo will always take you a step back or a step forward. So we want now to look at the drag a copy command and see how we do that. So again, the first thing is to select the item that you want to drag. This time you want to drag a copy so that we maintain a copy of the original wall. So therefore, again, if you still want to use the wrong method, once you select the object or the element, you right click on an empty space and then you go to move and then you choose drag a copy. And the command for drag a copy is Control Shift D on your keyboard or on your PC. So you just press Control Shift D and then your cursor will be engaged with that command. And this in this case, because we are dragging a copy, it has a plus sign, so it will maintain a copy, and you drag the wall to a new position and still maintain a copy. Again, if you want to restrict the wall on the horizontal path, you press the shift key down and it will bring it will restrict the wall on a horizontal path, and then you can click where you want to place the wall, and again now you will see that you already have created uh, another wall, a copy of the original one that you had. So those are two commands we've already looked at. We've seen drag, where you drag a wall to a new position and you don't maintain a copy of the same. Then you drag a copy, you select the wall, choose the drag command, drag a copy command, that is Control Shift D. Then you drag the copy, select, enter the command Control Shift D from your keyboard, and then you drag it to a new position and it will create another wall. So then we want to see how we can rotate. We can rotate this wall. It's a vertical wall. We want to see how we can rotate it so that it is positioned in the horizontal direction. So again, you select the wall, and remember this time when you are selecting and when you are clicking the wall, the cursor is free. The cursor is free, and we say in case your cursor is engaged like with the door and it has a plus sign. When the cursor has a plus sign, it shows that the cursor is engaged with something different or with another object. So for us to free the cursor, we will come and click back at the arrow tool. Click there, your cursor is free. So we usually use the cursor to select when the cursor is free. When it is engaged, it might not be able to select when you click on that item. So having said that, we want to see now how we can rotate this wall in the horizontal direction, in the x-axis. So for us to be able to rotate this wall in the horizontal direction, then again we want to know the shortcut and of course there is the wrong method. The wrong method is to select the wall, then you right click on the empty space, then you go to move, and then you pick rotate. And the shortcut for rotate is Control plus E. So you press your Control key on your keyboard, and then you add E. And once you press, you usually press and release. You press and hold Control, and then you press E and release from your left hand. And that command, you will have entered that command. So if you are to use the shortcut, you will just Control, then you press E and release the keyboard, and then you'll find that your cursor has been engaged with this rotational sign. So what we need now to do, remember, rotate again. We are rotating and we are not maintaining a copy of the wall. So we will come and click on the object or the wall. We'll click on the object or the wall, and then we will spread our mouse or our cursor in the vertical direction or in the horizontal direction or in the vertical or horizontal direction, whichever way. But the easiest way is to spread it around the object that you want to rotate. So then you click the first point, then you click again, and it will give you the aspect, or it will pick the object, and now you can rotate it in the horizontal direction. Again, you want to rotate it in the horizontal direction, restrict it there, you hold shift. You hold shift. Once you shift, it will not move. It could be again at an angle of maybe 45 degrees. So again, using the shift key, you are able to restrict it in that angle. And once you click, that wall will be rotated at an angle of 45 degrees. So I will repeat the same again. So the first thing is to select the object, put the command, that is Control E. Your cursor now is engaged with the rotate command. Click on the object, spread your cursor around the object and click again, and then you rotate it to the distance or to the angle that you want to rotate it. An angle of 90 degrees, you hold the shift key, it will rotate it at an angle of 90 degrees. So again, we do the same. We rotate and maintain a copy of the same wall. So it's more or less the same. It's only that the command changes a little bit, and we can confirm from our move, and you can see that to rotate a copy, it is Control Shift E. To rotate a copy is Control Shift E. So we'll just use that command. So we've selected the object, then from our keyboard, you press Control, then you add Shift, then E, and you release the keyboard, and that will give you the rotation command where you are rotating and maintaining a copy of the original wall. So again, once the command is on, you click on the object, spread your cursor to a distance, click again, and then now you can rotate. You can rotate, and you can see that the wall rotates from the first point you created when you are starting to rotate. That will be the anchor point, and you rotate it around that point. So those are again another two commands, rotate and rotate a copy. We've seen that. Maybe I can repeat for rotate a copy. So just select the copy, enter the command to rotate a copy. That is Control Shift E. Then you click on the object, spread your cursor, and then you rotate it. So, and again, for me to be able to see whether we are moving on well, we are together, just encourage you to leave a comment on the comment section as we move on, so that we also move together. If there is an area that I've maybe moved very fast, you can always comment. You can always leave me a chat, so that uh, you are not left out. Then we look at another command is when you want to mirror something, or you want to change to mirror an object from one direction to the other. And maybe for me to be able to demonstrate that, maybe I can use an object. Can use an object, and we said objects. Under objects, we have so many things. So once we click object, we can view it from our information box, and we can pick maybe one of the items that are within the object. We can pick even the coaches. We can put a number of couches, be 2 or 3. So again, with the skill that we've already acquired, we can use the same to rotate this seat. We just rotate and we do not leave a copy. So again, just a recap of rotate. You select the object, then again, we say to select, you need to disengage the cursor. You click on the object, then you insert the rotate command, that is Control E. Then you click on the object, spread your cursor either horizontally, and click again. And then now, click, you've selected the object, enter the command, drag a copy in the horizontal direction, and then now you can rotate it in that direction. And then we want to drag it closer to this position. Again, command for drag is select the object, then you press Control D to drag, and then you drag the copy to a new position without maintaining the original copy. So you want to see the mirror command. Mirror command is when you want to change this seat, the direction of this seat. Of course, the direction is one is sitting facing this direction. So therefore, you want to change, and the sitting direction is towards the right hand side. So what we'll do, we will select the object, and then again we will use the mirror command, Control M, and we will be able to mirror and change the direction of the seat from the left hand side to the right. So again, we can pick the command from this point by just clicking on the command mirror, and then once you click on the object at that point, you can see it changes and changes direction in the opposite direction. So again, we can do the same command again. The first thing is to select the object, then you put the command from your keyboard. It is Control M, and then you click on the object, and it will mirror or change the direction. So if we want to maintain a copy, we will put the command for mirror a copy. And mirror a copy again is Control Shift M. So if you insert Control Shift M, you will have mirrored a copy. So what we will do is that we will select the object, and then we put the command from our keyboard, Control, then you add Shift, and then you press M to give you command mirror a copy command, and then we can mirror that copy. We maintain the original one and we have a new one. Again, we select the object, enter the command Control Shift M, then you mirror either from this point or even from a different point, a different reference point to still mirror, If you want to delete, just select the object, right click on the empty space and choose delete. Or alternatively, you can delete directly by selecting the object and pressing the delete command on the keyboard. So that is a mirror and mirror a copy. We've already been able to see that. Then we want to see if you have you wanted to create a rectangular room. How do you trim the walls? How do you trim the walls? So we want to see how we use the trim tool to be able to trim the various walls that we do not want in a particular design. And the trim tool is visible in our standard bar, where we have the shortcuts for trim, and this is the trim tool, the one that appears as in scissors form is the trim tool. So what we will do, we can directly pick trim tool from this bar, or we can hold control key from our keyboard. If you press control key, the cursor changes and it is engaged with the trim tool. So instead of getting directly from our shortcut uh, bar, we can now use our control key from our keyboard, and we press it, it will give us the trim. Once you release the control key, the cursor is disengaged. So for us now to trim the walls, we'll just hold control key down, and then we will click on the wall that we want to trim. And once you click on that wall, it will be trimmed with the reference to the next closest wall, or to the next line. If there is a line, assuming you have a line at that point, if I can draw a line at that point, I can change the color so that it's visible. So if we were to trim this wall, the one that is in between the line and this wall, so you just control and then you click, it will trim. So it will trim with reference to this line and with reference to this wall. But I can just undo that and again repeat trim. We wanted a square room, a rectangular room, that is. So we now trim all the walls until we have a rectangular room. So therefore we will hold the control shift key down, and then we will trim all the walls that are unwanted. So again, you'll notice that if a wall is standing on its own, even if you try to trim it, it will not trim because it has no reference. It can't reference to anything. So you can only delete. You can only select that wall and delete it. You can only select that wall and delete it. But this one will trim simply because it's referencing the trim to the line. To the line. So that's how we trim wall from one point to the other, and we eliminate all the walls that we are not interested in. Therefore, we'll also see how we can split walls. We have a continuous wall. Maybe I can just maybe extend this wall a little bit, and also extend this one a little bit. So we'll also see how we can extend a wall and maybe reduce. But for now, we want to see how we can split. We have this wall. we want to split it at this point or with reference to this wall. How do we do that? So again, we have our split command on our standard bar. So we pick this split command, and then we'll come and click to our point of reference. Our point of reference is this vertical wall, and we will click at that wall, and then again it will give us this eye symbol requesting us to just click on either of the side to maintain and leave the wall selected. So if we want to trim this wall and maintain the edge as the selected part, then we will click again on this end. And you'll see that the wall splits at that point and this wall is left selected, and then we can delete it. Then we can delete it. So I'll repeat again. We want to split this wall at this point, so we will select the wall that we want to split. Then we'll click on our split tool, and then we will reference it with this wall. We'll click on that wall and then click on the direction that we want to maintain our wall in select mode. Click there to be split at that point, and then we can press our shift key to delete at that point. Then earlier on I had extended the wall, but we can revisit that and see how we can extend this wall from this point, from this end to a certain distance. So for us to be able to extend this wall, we will select the wall, and then we will click on the node. There is a node at the end. We'll click on that node, and then we'll just extend the cursor. We'll displace the cursor to extend it. You'll see that the wall can move up and down, but if we want to maintain it in the horizontal direction, then we will press shift, and it will be restricted in that horizontal direction. Again, we can still do the same by using what we call adjust. Adjust icon will help us to adjust this wall from this point to a particular point. So you just select the wall, come and activate the adjust, and then we just click to the position that we want to adjust the wall. We click at the first point and then click at another point, and the wall will be adjusted up to that point. So again, we would also want to, if you don't want to trim, just as we saw, if you press your control key, you are able to trim the edges. But if you do not want to trim, maybe you have a wall that is you want to these two walls to meet at and form a right angled corner. So instead of stretching the wall, we can use what we call the intersect command to be able to join this wall and this wall. So what we will do, we will select the two walls. And by selecting the two walls, what we do first is to select the first one, then you hold the shift key down and then click on the next one, and then you'll have selected the two walls. Otherwise, you can still click on the empty space. Once the cursor is attached to the empty space, spread it along the two walls, and then you click. The two walls will be selected. So you click on the empty space, spread the cursor on the two walls, and then the cursor the box will select the two walls, and then now you can use the intersect command to intersect the two walls. When you hit intersect, the two walls will join together, or will form an angle of 90 degrees. So that is how we intersect. So we've seen how we intersect two walls that have not met at a point. So far we've seen how we drag. Again, we also drag a copy. We've looked at how we can rotate and also rotate a copy, mirror and also mirror a copy. We've seen how we can trim walls. We've also seen how we can split a wall, and again also how we can intersect two walls that are not meeting. Again, even the ones that are still extending, we can still intersect them. If at all they are not split. If we wanted to use intersect at this point, we could still intersect. If you hit intersect, the two walls will still intersect. Then we want also to see how we can put dimensions, how we do dimensions, or how we can insert dimensions from one point to the other. Assuming we want to drag this wall 3 meters from where it is. We drag a copy of this wall 3 meters from the existing wall. So how do we do that? So the first thing is to select the wall. Then we put the drag command, drag a copy command. Drag a copy, that is Control Shift D. Then we click on the wall, and before we click to position it into a new point, we now input the drag for the command for inserting dimension. So the first thing is to select the wall, then click on the wall and displace it. Then we put the command for inserting dimension. That is Control that is Shift R. You'll find that once you press Shift R, you can see that the distance command in your text box is highlighted, and then now we can type a distance of 3 meters or 3,000. We are working with millimeters, so 3 meters in millimeters, that is 3,000. So what we will do is we'll again include the thickness of the wall within the dimension. So if you wanted to drag 3,000 internal dimension, so we will add 200. If the wall has a thickness of 200, we will add 200 on that dimension, so that internally we have 3,000. So again, you select the wall, click on the wall and displace it, then insert the command for inserting the dimension, that is Shift R, and then you can type your dimension, that is 3,200, and then you press enter. That wall will be displaced 3 meters from the original wall. So this distance is 3 meters. So we had not done the settings for the wall, so it could be different, but we will do the setting for the wall and again drag the same and see how it comes out. So that is inserting dimensions. So again, I'll repeat the same in case somebody has missed at some point. So we've said you select the wall, you insert the drag a copy command, Control Shift D, click on the wall and displace it. Then you enter the command for entering dimension, that is Shift R, and your dimension tab will be activated, and then you put the dimension or the distance you want to displace your wall at. Assuming maybe it's 5,000, you just type 5,000, then you press enter from your keyboard. You press enter from your keyboard or from your laptop or from your PC. So that's how we drag a wall from one point to the other. And it's the same case if you want to drag this seat 2 meters from the original one. So you just insert the command Control Shift D, drag a copy, click on the object, displace it a little bit, and then put you hit the command for inserting dimension, Shift R, and then you put the dimension. Maybe it's 4 meters. You want the seat to be to move 4 meters from the original one. And then you can, even if you check using the dimension, right? If you click that point and click that point and press the dimension, then you'll be able to see that it has moved a distance of 22.5 meters or 2500 meters. So that's how we input dimensions, and then we will still test the same skill once we do the settings for the wall, so that we can cross check and see whether we've been able to achieve the correct command. So again, if you want to delete multiple objects in your workspace, you can, once you disengage the cursor, click on an empty space, you will see the select option, spread it around the everything that you want to select, and then you can delete from your keyboard. So let us see how we do settings for the wall and the major settings that we need to do or to insert for a wall, so that we are able to work on it. So what we will do for us to be able to do the settings for the wall, we will go to the toolbox and activate the wall. Once we click on the wall, we will see that the details for the wall are displayed on the toolbox, on the information box, sorry. So once you click on the wall, you'll find that the, the, the details for the wall will be displayed on the information box. And then we can click again on the setting dialog for it to give us this pop-up window that will help us now to visualize and see the various settings in a better way for us to be able to do the settings. Otherwise, if you don't want to use that method, what you can do again is to double click on the wall icon in the toolbox section. So if you double click, it will take you directly to the wall default setting tab or pop-up window. And then we can do a number of settings at this point. So when you're using ArchiCad 19, the first thing we need to do for us to be able to set the height for the wall, because you can see like for this case, the default setting for the wall, the height tab is not active, the thickness tab is not active, so we'll not be able to set the height, neither the thickness of the wall. So what we need to do is to change under the wall top. We have this first story section, and we have a drop down arrow. So we just click on that drop down arrow, and then we select not ringed. Once we select that command, now the height command is active, and we are able to set the height of the wall. And for this case, we can do a general height, maybe the normal one for residential buildings at 2700. We can put 2700, though it's not a standard, it's just a dimension. It can be 3000, it could be 35, it could be anything depending on the utility of the building or the design. So that's how we activate the height tab, so that you're able to set the height. Then you can see the thickness again is not active. So we have these three tabs at the top here. So we have the structure basics, these structure basics commands. So we will use the first one that does not have edges on the wall. So we will use this one. And once you click on the first tab, then you find that the thickness tab is active. Then we will change this to 200. Change that to 200. Then again, it is important for us to set the reference line. Reference line is the line that gives us whether it's on the outside face, whether the reference line is at the center of the wall or the inside face. And for ease of drafting, as we will see later, it is important for us to pick the center option, because that will help us even when we are placing the columns. To be easier for us to do that using the center reference line. The other settings, like the model, we can set the fields for the outside face, the inner face, the edges, or the inner face. So we can still do that here, but for the time being, I think we will just maintain ourselves with those few commands. We will see other commands as we move on, and as need arises, so that we are able to adjust them and to view them as time goes by. But for the meantime, we've just done the settings for the height, the settings for the thickness of the wall, and the reference line. And then just press OK to ensure that we maintain those dimensions. So once you've done the settings for the wall, now we want to test a number of things that we've done today and see how they are coming out. So first of all, we want to draw a simple rectangular house, which is 6,000 millimeters by 4,000 millimeters internal dimensions. So what we will do first is we will establish a vertical wall, and we'll also establish another horizontal wall. And these are the two walls that we will use. We will move one 6 meters from the other one. We'll drag a copy of this wall 6 meters, and then we'll drag a copy of this wall 4 meters, because we want a room that is 6 meters by 4 meters. So again, we disengage our cursor, we select this wall, we drag a copy so that we maintain a copy of this wall wherever it is. So we put the command for drag a copy, Control Shift D. We will drag that copy to a new position, displace the cursor, then we enter the command for entering dimension, that is Shift R, and then we put 6200. Remember, we said we have to add the thickness of the wall, so that to achieve an internal dimension of 6,000, and then we press enter from our keyboard. So we do the same with the other wall. We want now to displace a copy of this wall to a distance of 4 meters. So therefore, we will select the wall, then we put a command for drag a copy, Control Shift D. Then we click on the wall, displace it a little bit. Then we enter the command for entering dimension, that is Shift R. Then now we can enter our dimension, that is 4200, that to achieve that. And then again, we can cross-check and see whether we've been able to achieve that rectangular space of 6,000 by 4,000. Again, we can do that by picking the dimension tool, and then we click on this wall, then click on the other wall where we want to check the dimension, and then we double click on the empty space, and then we click again, and then we will be able to see to see the dimensions between this wall and this wall. So again, I will do on the lower side to confirm whether this is 6,000 millimeters. So we said you click on the first wall, click on the next wall, then you double click on where you want to place your dimension, you double click, and then you click for the last time. And you'll find that we have now a space of 4,000 by 6,000. Again, we do not need the other projecting walls, so we just trim them by holding Control key down and clicking on the walls by pointing on the wall using the cursor, not the scissors, but the cursor itself, and click, and then you'll see that you've been able uh, to achieve a room that is 6,000 millimeters by 4,000. 4,000. Again, you can see that our work environment is set in meters, because this is 4.000 meters. So we need to change this to millimeters, and we want to see how we can now convert our workspace into millimeters. So what we'll do is we will use the menu, option menu, and then we'll go to project preference and go to dimension working units, and we can see they are in millimeters. So that is one way of how we can change the workspace into millimeters. Otherwise, we can still use uh, the option menu again. We go to project to working environment and choose work environment, and we'll be able to change that. So we said the first one is to use option, project preference, then we can go either to working units or to dimensions. So it will still help us to change this. We can see that for this case, we are in meters in 3 decimal points, but we want to change to millimeters. So what we do is click the drop arrow and select millimeters, and then we also minimize our decimal point to 0, and then we click OK, and you'll find that now the workspace has changed to millimeters. The workspace has converted to millimeters. If you are to check or to check whether that has happened, you can click on those two walls and put the dimensions again, and you will see that the work area has changed to millimeters. Maybe I can just do a recap of that in case you missed a point. We've said that for us to change the workspace from meters to millimeters, we will go to option, go to project preference, and then select dimension. Select the dimension. You notice that under unit, it will be in meters, so you change to millimeters. Then decimal, you reduce decimal to 0, and then you just click OK, and your work environment will have changed to millimeters. Will have changed to millimeters. So again, we can still do more commands. Like we've seen, we've already created a room that is 6 meters by 4 meters, but we can still exercise more and drag this wall to a bit, maybe 2 meters from where it is. So again, we said we'll do drag a copy. So we put the command Control Shift D. We displace we displace the wall a little bit, then we put the command for inputting dimension, that is Shift R, and then we put 2200 for us to displace it 2000 millimeters apart. And then we can cross check again with our dimension line. Click on that wall, click on that wall, click on this wall, then we double click and click again, and it will give us now the dimensioning between these various walls. So that is 2000, this is 3000. So we can do again the same thing with this horizontal wall. So we select the wall, then we put Control Shift D, click on the object and drag it a little bit, then Shift R, and then we displace it maybe again 2 meters, 2000. So once you put 2000, you'll find that now our internal dimension will be 1800 because we never added 200 to 2000. So it will give us 200. So that is how we drag walls from one place to the other. So if we have a certain design, we are able to build it from one wall to the other, delete or trim the walls that we are not interested in to maintain the space that we want. And that will be able or will help us to create different spaces within this workspace. Then we can move on and look at how we can insert doors and windows. How we can insert doors and windows to this is just an exercise of just putting doors and windows to this a number of walls and see how we can do that. So we start with the door, and then the first thing we usually do is to look at the settings. So the first thing is to look at the settings for whatever elements that you are working on, whichever object that you are working on. Once we are done with the settings, then we can now come and insert the wall, the door or the window where we want it to be. So therefore we will double click on the door so that it will take us to the dialog box for its setting, the door default setting. And then under this pop-up window, there are so many settings that we can do against the door. So the first thing is to select the type of door that you want. If you want a garage door, so we have quite a number of doors that we can select from. If you want a hinge door, there are quite a number that we can select from. All these are doors. We just select the one we want, and then we adjust the settings in terms of height, in terms of the width, and we are able now to go and position it on our floor plan. If you want a rotating door, they are here, and you notice that once you click on a particular door, it changes. You from the preview box, you can see on plan how it looks like. You can change to see its elevation under the preview box. You can change even to see an axometric of the same door, and it becomes easy for you to determine the type of door that you want. If you want a sliding door, if you click on a sliding door, you can see how the sliding, the leaves are sliding, and you can pick the one that you want. Again, you can see its elevation. You are able to choose the door that you want. If you want a sliding folding door, it is still there. You can see its plan. You can see its plan elevation. You are able to view it from this point. So again, for me, I will just choose a hinged door, and then I will just pick a simple one of this nature. We just pick that one, the normal door that we are used to. And then from our dialog box here, we are able to see that the door has a width of 900 and has a height of 2400. So for me, I'm comfortable with that. I will just stick to that. The seal or header value is the distance between the slab, the floor finish, and the door. So I'm comfortable with 100. Again, we have so many other settings that we can do. There are so many other settings that we can do. We can we can select different panels or the type of door that we want. We have quite a number of them. We can select the one we want from the display, from the various styles that we've been given. We can select whichever one we want. Maybe we can just pick, go with that one, go with that style. We can again go and select the handles that we want. There are quite a number. You just pick that one, and then we can continue and do a number of more settings. You can use these arrows to go and now do specific settings for the door, whether it's the framework, whether the other door members. We can adjust them according to whichever door we want. Quite a number. You can see the handle height, the positioning. You are able to place the handle at its exactly position of the door. For us, it's at 1,000. Maybe we can put this at about 1,200. You just select that part and just increase it depending on where you want it to be. There are more settings on the reef undercut, the reef rebate depth. All of them are there. You just adjust them depending on whatever, on your needs. We have the transom. You can still select quite a number of them. We have door opening, side hang, whether it's whatever. There are so many opposite reef. You are able to set that. Under 3D projections, you are able to either remove the reference line that shows us where the door is opening line. You are able to remove that if you don't want it, so that you just have a plain door and the rest. So you have those dimensions that we can do, and those are usually customized depending on the needs and the settings or the detail of the door. So once you've already done that, you just click on OK, and then you have your door. Your cursor is engaged with the door, and if you point on your above your walls, you can see that the door is visible. It's visible because the doors are usually attached to the walls. So if you want a door at that point, you just click. The door will just click. Again, we have to choose the direction of opening. You can see if you change the cursor, it changes from one direction to the other. If you want it to open in this direction, so you just point to where you want the door to open and you click at that point. You can insert another door maybe at that point, click where you want it to open at, and you're able to do doors at particular points. Remember, this is just a sample couple of walls that we are using to check a number of commands that we are able to use when we are drafting. Later on, we will do a better design and see how we can incorporate quite a number of objects, quite a number of elements within the design. So again, that's how we insert doors. Again, if you wanted a different door at some point, so you have to go back to the door settings, change the type of door that you wanted. Maybe it's a rotating door, and do the settings for the door. Like for this one is rotating at a diameter of 2.1 meters, has a height of 2.1. If that is okay with you, then you just come and hover over the wall and insert it there, and it will give you a revolving door at that particular point. So again, if you want to fix a door at a particular point, assuming this door you wanted it to be maybe 300 millimeters from this wall. So we will put the door, then we will drag it until the end of the wall. So we'll use the drag command, Control D, then we pick the node and place it to the edge of that wall. And then now we want to displace it 200 millimeters from this wall. So we just drag, we select the wall, we select the door, then we drag it, Control D, we click on the door, displace it a little bit, then we put the dimension command, Shift R, then we type 200 and then we type enter. So that door will be displaced exactly 200 millimeters from this wall, and we can check from using our dimension command. So we can click that point, click at that point, then click on that wall, and we can see that this wall has a thickness of 200. The distance between this wall and the door is 200, and then we have the wall, the door itself is 900, and then the balance, what remains, is 900. So that is how we can place a door at a specific distance from this wall. So again, maybe finally now we can look at how we insert windows. It is not, it's more or less the same as walls. So we will open our window default setting dialog box, and then we will again do the settings. It's very important for you to do the settings before you insert the objects on the plan. And again, we have a number of windows that are available for us to pick from. Depending with the window that you want, you just pick the one that you want and you do the settings to fit your requirement. So for me, I'll just choose this casement window, which has a width of 2000 and a height of 1500. That is the height of the window. It has a width of 2000 and a height of 1500. So again, I can still change the width of the window maybe to 2500. So I'll just select that and adjust the width. I'm comfortable with the height. And then the next very important dimension you need to check for the window is the distance between the window, the lower side of the window, and the floor. And this actually is usually dictated by the height of our openings. If our beam is at 2400, assuming our beam is at 2400, so it means that then we will deduct the height of the window from the 2400 where our beam starts, and then the sea level will be the difference between 2400 and 1500, which is about 900. Actually is 900, because 24 minus 15 to give you 900. 24 is the height where our beam starts, because we always know that the doors, the windows will terminate where the beam starts. So therefore, that height there will be 900. Again, we also have other basic settings that we can do. We can do the window settings, opening, fixed glass, whether they are top hang, side hang. We can move on and do the framework, just as we've seen with the doors. We can adjust the size of the frames, the number, the divisions that are there. The grid will be able to choose quite a number if that is what we want. And there are more settings that we can do with the window. We will see those settings as we move on. We can even change the color for our different wood frames, our different casement for the window frame. We can change their colors around this area, and you will see that when we start working on a design. But for now, we are just looking at the various settings that you are supposed to do for a window, for a door, and how we insert them on the floor plan. So once you are through with the settings, we just press OK, and then our cursor will be engaged with the window. And once you hover along a particular wall, then you can see the symbol for the window is visible. So if you wanted a window at this position, just click, and this time the window is supposed to open to the exterior of the building. So we click on that part, and that window will open towards the external or the outside of the building. Then again, if you want to place another window here, it's a little bit bigger than the space. We can adjust the dimensions from the information box, and we can change the width to maybe 1500. You don't need to go back to the overall wall setting box. We can still do that on our on our information box, and then you just put it on the place where you want to insert the window. So if you still wanted another window of the same size from this at this room, you just do the same. Just do the same. So maybe lastly, as we wind up our session, our second session on introduction, which will mark the end of introductory bit for the ArchiCad settings and the workspace setup. Before we start drafting a design or a building that we can build from on the design aspect, or a building that we can draft from the walling all the way to roof work and other areas, generation of elevations and the rest. Lastly, we can look at one command that is also important, assuming that we wanted to change this window. We wanted to change this window, which is 25, has a width of 25 and a height of 15 millimeters, 2500 and 1500 millimeters. We want to change this size to this window. We want to put the settings for this window and achieve the same, change this large window here to a smaller window, and we already have the settings in place. So what we will do is that we will use what we call the pick parameter tool together with the injection parameter tool. So the pick parameter will help us to pick the parameters of this window, and then the injection tool will help us to change the setting for this window to the one that we had picked parameters from. So we'll pick this window, this pick parameter tool will come and click on the object that we want to pick the parameters on, and we can see our cursor is engaged, and then now we can click on inject parameters, and you can come and inject this window, and it will change and it will pick parameters for our reference window. So again, I'll repeat the same. This is a little bit sorry. This is a wrong method. I will still show you a shortcut to the same using the keyboard. So we've said we want to change the parameters of this window to acquire these parameters. So we will come and pick the parameter tool, and then we point on this window and click on it to pick the parameters, and then we'll click on inject, and we'll come and inject the one that we want to change. Again, we can do that very fast using the commands from our keyboard. So for us to pick parameter, we can see it's Alt C. Is Alt C, that is the shortcut. Inject parameters is Control Alt C. That is still a little bit wronger method. We still have another shorter method. That is by pressing Alt. If you press your Alt key in your keyboard or in your PC, you will see that your cursor changes to pick parameter tool, to change to this tool. And then once you release the Alt key, it will disengage the cursor. Once you hold it, it will still maintain the pick parameter tool. So what we do is that we'll press Alt key, and then we'll hover over the window that we want to pick parameters from, and we'll click on that window. And then before we release the Alt key, we add Control. We hold Control key down, and it will change the cursor, the pick parameter cursor, to inject. And then we can come and inject the window that we wanted to inject or to change the parameters. So again, I will just go very above that bit again, so that we are able to do that before we wind up. So we want to change the parameters of this window and insert the parameters from this window. So we'll disengage the cursor, then we will hold Alt key down from our keyboard to give us the pick parameter tool, and then we'll pick the parameters of the window or the object that we wanted to use as our reference. Then we will continue and press Control key down. So we will hold Alt, then we add Control, and it will change the cursor to inject, and then we'll go and inject the object or the window that we wanted to change the parameters on. So therefore, that will mark our introductory bit of our session 2. Again, I want to thank you for staying tuned. I want to really appreciate you for being with me in this session, and I hope that you've been able to learn one or two concepts in ArchiCad that will help us to move on, that will help us to master and be able to work with the ArchiCad program. Therefore, I thank you very much. I wish you all the best this evening. Again, if you have any comment, kindly put it in our comment section. Let us know what we need to do to be able to enrich our content in this YouTube channel. That is the technical training channel. Again, I want also to invite you, if you are not one of my subscribers, kindly subscribe so that anytime we have a new video, we've released a new tutorial, you are able to be the first one to see it and to be able to support us by watching and sharing it with your friends, and also being part and parcel of this channel. Therefore, I want to thank you and sincerely wish you a good evening. Until our next session, kindly subscribe so that once we schedule the session, you'll be the first one to know. Thank you and God bless you. Santain.